Hey, I'm Georgia. I have just packed up my entire life in London and travelled 30 hours to move back home. Not only have I moved back in with my parents, but we're a multi-generational household. We've got the whole family here, which makes it very easy and very nice to get to hang out with everyone because while I have moved back home with my parents, this is not a permanent move. So sorry for the clickbaity title. I am taking advantage of currently not being locked into a lease anywhere in the world and spending a quality, solid chunk of time back home. And by quality and solid chunk of time, I mean 1 month, which to me is the most time I've spent in Australia in 4 years. So it is so nice to have some proper time here. I'm really excited to just have a bit of regularity for a little brief period because usually when I've come home, it's been for 10 days, which has always been so quick. So I feel really fortunate that I can spend a whole month here whilst I'm in between places. I'm also here for my grandmother's 90th and other just general summer festivities because obviously summer in Australia is a fantastic time of year and we live on the coast here, so the beach is very accessible. And I am so excited to swim every day. My life is very much up in the air at the minute, and that's okay. I feel like I haven't properly processed the end of my time in London because there was just so much packing up going on and so many things I needed to deal with that it just literally feels like it flew by. So I'm excited to just go to ground here and have a moment to reflect. But at the same time, I really want to be present whilst I'm here as well. So also trying to do that. And then after my month is up, I've got some other plans for where I'm going to next. So hang 10 for those. Let's do this little chapter before I start my next chapter. Hi, Dad.
Oh, hello.
Do you want to say hi to the vlog?
Oh, yeah, well, hello there.
Good job. So I might be in a new location, but I still have the same obsession with Pilates. So I've signed up to a studio near my mum and dad's house and we're gonna go back to Pilates. I also feel like when my routine changes, such as moving houses, going back to a studio to get back into a routine or a regular practice in a sport is like really helpful. So that's why I'm heading back and paying for classes again. Fun fact though, I paid the equivalent of £30 for 5 classes with the intro offer here, compared to in London, I pay £45 for 3 classes. So riddle me that, cost of living London, riddle me that. This is something I could absolutely not do after Pilates in London, and that is walk across the road and go for a swim. Ah, so nice to do this again. I'm so grateful to be home. Feels amazing, especially after this year and so much change. Super happy.
Where did the time go? How do we move so far away? Holding on, how much can we both take when life is an echo? I can't hear what you're saying when life is an echo. I can't hear what you're saying. Strong lessons burn brighter, that makes us two fighters. And what I'm asking tonight is, could we go back to where we started?
So when I left Sydney, the metro did not exist. and I just rode it for the first time, and that was a lot of fun. Very different, very unexpected form of transport in little old Sydney. So I've just come out of the metro, and what is very funny is I didn't even realise I was coming out to Martin Place, and my old job in Sydney before I moved to London was in Martin Place, and I used to look out the window all the time and watch them building the metro because it was like so crazy deep. It gave me mad vertigo, and lo and behold, I step out and my old office is right here. So that's a really cute little full circle moment. My last job in Sydney, now I'm back somewhere up there I used to go to work. And even more crazy is Loon Croissant has opened opposite it. That would be far too tempting if I still worked there. It's a shame I wasn't here earlier to try one. I've never tried one before, but I have watched her Australian story, and that was super inspiring, so I'm definitely wanting to try one.
I've been walking through the haze, every street is telling me your name.
Oh my god, I love these flowers. So cute. They look like they just want to take off. I am in Sydney walking through the Royal Botanic Gardens to meet up with a friend. She's having a little picnic for her birthday today, so that's very exciting. I am coming in to talk about all of the fabulous books I've been reading whilst I'm home. I've really enjoyed being able to access a few that are newer Australian books and are still on pre-order back in London. So yeah, stoked about it. So I figured I would go through them quickly and shout out the ones that I've really enjoyed. The first book I read when I got home was The Wedding People. This is one of my favorite books I've read this year. I think Alone with You in the Ether is maybe still my most favorite, but honestly I devoured this book and really enjoyed it. It is about someone who is in the throes of suicidal ideation and goes away to a beachside hotel to attempt suicide. Then everything kind of just like goes from there. And I think it's just a really nice story of being in a really dark place and a single interaction or a single person who can help bring someone out of that dark place and reframe life in a way that makes them want to live. So I highly recommend The Wedding People. This is a book I very much enjoyed. The next book I attempted to read was another book published in Great Britain, and it was The 7 Year Slip. I feel like I got this recommendation from a podcast and I had very high hopes, but I honestly have gotten so very little in because it's just not written in a way that I enjoyed. So I haven't gone further on it. It's not to say I've ruled it out, it's just I have so many other books I wanted to get through and it wasn't grabbing my attention. So I jumped to the next one, and now we get into all of the Australian authors. What did I read first? I think I read Chosen Family first. I picked this up because, well, the cover, and also I have read Madeline Gray's first book, Green Dot. To be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of Green Dot, but this was everywhere in the bookstores here. So I picked it up anyway, and I really enjoyed it. It's funny, isn't it? Like, obviously, just because you like an author's work doesn't mean you're going to like every single book that they write. So I always think it's worth giving authors another shot. And I'm really glad I picked this up because this was beautiful. I read it in like 2 days. It is a very good story in terms of chosen families, creating your own queer family, and of course it's set in Sydney like her other book as well, so that's an extra added bonus. I just love reading books set in cities and towns that I know quite well, not to put myself at the center of the novel, but it's just so fun to read it and know like where the author is talking about. And I think the relationship between Nell and Eve as the main protagonists in this book is also quite interesting in terms of their relationship over the many years of their life and how they have love for each other, but also their actions don't always reflect that love. Like, it's quite complicated, and so I guess it captures that messiness of humans, that even though we might love someone, we don't always treat them the best. Oh, I read another Australian author, but I don't have that book here with me. I read The Worst Thing I've Ever Done in literally 24 hours. I read that one really quickly. Not necessarily like the best book ever, but I loved that it captured, like, I love any book in kind of digital media, but also it captured cancel culture and being called out on the internet, which is like obviously probably any person posting themselves online, a great fear. So I like that it captured that because that feels very modern and of the times, and I hadn't read many books like that apart from maybe like The List. So I appreciated that for that perspective. I'm not necessarily going to recommend it as a must read. The next book I read was another Aussie author, Sally Hepworth, Mad Mabel. This is her new book. If you watched my recap of all the books I read last year, the one I did for 2024, I got onto a Sally Hepworth binge. Like, I read so many of her books. I started with The Soulmate and was absolutely hooked. I did enjoy Mad Mabel, but compared to all of her other books, I would say Soulmate or The Good Sister, those were probably like my actual favorite Sally Hepworth books. And honestly, actually, now that I think about this, the twist was obvious. Like, I knew the twist was coming the whole time. So it did hook me enough that like I powered through it. I don't know. Honestly, I'm just letting you know I read it. I don't think it's a must read, but I do think Sally Hepworth is amazing, and Soulmate or her other books I would recommend. And then I picked up Gravity Let Me Go. It's about a dude who's a true crime journalist, and whilst all that true crime stuff is happening, it's also talking about the consequences of him giving the true crime too much of his attention, and his family kind of need his like emotional support. So it's kind of a tension between those two things. And because Trent Dalton has a particular focus and like care for love and having like a lot of love in the world, that is obviously a big theme as well. I think it's a huge theme in all of his books. So you get like this gory true crime detective whodunit that keeps you hooked, and you also get the emotional and meaningful component of like his family and love and connection and things like that. So honestly, I think it's like the best of both worlds. So I just finished that one last night, and then I'm on to my last Aussie book that I have bought so far. And this is a bit of a cheat because I bought it for my grandma's birthday, knowing that she reads books really quickly as well, and that I could read it after she'd finished. We're both Jane Harper fans, so this is Jane Harper's latest book. So I'll be starting to read this today, which I'm very excited for, and I'll report back on whether or not I like it. But if you haven't heard of Jane Harper, I do highly recommend her books. She's famous for The Dry and Exiles. The Dry was turned into a movie, The Exiles a Netflix series, but my personal favorite of hers is The Lost Man. That one to me like really hit the spot. So that is what I'm about to read now, and it's just so fun being back and going into the Aussie bookstores and seeing all of the Aussie authors and being able to access those books, because they are usually on pre-order in London and they take a bit longer to get access to. So I'm really enjoying that right now. And that's the end of this book segment. So I feel like in these vlogs I do go to quite a few facials, and the reason behind that is because my mum, she has always encouraged and booked me in for many a facial to take care of the mind and the face. And so it seems only fitting that now that I'm home, we are now going off for a facial.
Yes, it's red and yellow and dehydrated, and you can
Yeah.
and you should have this.
Okay.
That shows your sensitivity level.
Remember when we were getting nowhere fast?
Today is my last day in Australia for now. It's been a magical few weeks here, but like I mentioned at the start of this vlog, this isn't my final destination. I am moving overseas again, and not only that, but I'm moving overseas to a city that I have never even been to, which is wild. I'm sure it's the right decision, but the nerves have been coming through in the last few days. But the nerves are also mixed with excitement. Like, I'm really excited to start this new chapter. And as I was packing out my life in London and I was having all my little farewells and saying goodbye to friends, it was just, as hard as it was, it just felt so right that this is what I'm doing next. So, whilst it's been so nice to come home and be spending time with my family and be like enveloped in love again and being so well taken care of, it's time to go out into the world on my own again and do life on my own. So, for anyone who has moved overseas alone, I am now really starting to feel how that is different to moving overseas with a partner, especially like a long-term partner. Because when you move overseas with someone who is like your family, it feels like you're just moving your family to a new location, versus this time it really does feel like I am just stepping into the unknown. And also shout out, I guess, to anyone who's moved overseas to a city they've never been to before, because that is doubly unnerving. I have no idea what to expect, but I'm hoping for the best. I'm excited, I'm nervous, I'm everything, and that's okay. I'm starting this next chapter and doing this next part of life, and I'm really excited to bring you all along, and I hope you enjoy it, and thank you so much for being here. Let's go catch that plane.